Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As you probably can guess, we have NXT. As you probably can guess, we are now in the fallout after Worlds collide with AAA. But however, in this particular NXT episode, it features, of course, the North American title. Ethan Page has defended his championship after surviving a fatal four-way. He defends it against Evolve's very own Sean Legacy. And of course, we have the NXT Championship defended. Obafemi will be in the toughest challenge of his career against a man who has made his mark right at him. But the real question is, can he survive it? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. And of course, Jay-Z Jane is now considering concern over the fact now she's become a target as our new NXT Women's Champion after defeating Stephanie Vakir. So we'll see how things will roll up for her. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing, of course, the much recent events from ChocoPro. The first one is, of course, number 452, featuring the Apple film, which is the 7th anniversary of Mei Suruga since she debuted. She'll be defending the Super Asia Championship against Mei Sira, which is very interesting because we have two Meis facing each other for the same belt, and I'll get to that in a bit. And then, of course, we have ChocoPro 453 and 454. So we're going to go from A to Z on all of them. And then, of course, as always, we will cap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up. 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 Get up, get up.
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the yapping. It's time to keep on moving. So let's begin, of course, with ChocoPro number 452, the Apple film. Okay, ChocoPro number 452, the Apple film. Now, this is one of their bigger shows, and they did this in Shinjuku Face. And the name of this title is, of course, called the Apple film because they are celebrating Mei Suruga's 7th anniversary since she became a pro wrestler. Yes, folks, they do celebrations like these in Japan. But, however, what's interesting is they opened up, as usual, with their shows with Mei Suruga doing her performance along with Kaho, Chi, and Mia. But once the performance was done, Kaho made a very good observational point basically she was willing to say that she's going to defend her Super Agent Championship against Mei Sera. However, Kaho said, there's two Meis here, what should we call the other one? Should we call her Mei-san, Mei-chan, or Sarah-chan, Sarah-san? So basically, she's like, you have a good point. So basically, she asked the audience what's going to be. So apparently, it was decided, let's just call her May too. Basically, it's confusing. Like, who are you going to root for? May or May, this May, So it's interesting. Even Balinaki thought it was going to be confusing. So we'll see how things roll up. Now, our first match, we have 6-person tag team match. We have Hiroyo Yama. Well, basically it's men's versus the women. Representing the women's, we have Hiroyo Yawada, Tokiko Kirihara, and Sayaka Obihiro, aka Obi. They take on Antonio Honda, Hagane Shino, and what's his name? Minoru Fujita. Now, of course, many times, if you ever seen any of the ChocoPro events, the bigger events, they always have the men always defeat the women. That's always the case. But I wasn't too sure how this was going to end. It was Hagane Shino that picked up the win when he applied a chokehold onto Obi, and just like that, it was over with a tap out. And of course, Hagane picked up the win for his teammates. So, just like that. Our next match, we have a singles action. We have Kaho Hiromi taking on Coyote Yanayama. Now, this is going to be a very interesting match because for those who know Coyote Yanayama, she is a high speedster. She's fast. She's a bit more agile. She knows how to find ways to pick up wins. However, Kaho, with her childlike ways, trying to be clever, being, very fun, she always will find a way. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case until, of course, Yonayama applied a roll-up onto her. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we have Rina Yamashita and Shonshiru teaming up, taking on Chiko Shikawa and Chris Brooks. So basically, yes, we are seeing these two teaming up. This was a decision that was made by Chris Brooks ever since his tag partner, as you all know, Masahiro Takanashi, who was out of action due to a spinal injury that he obtained last year. And now it's like he's doing it. I don't know how he feels because the last few times he hasn't been able to pick up a win with her recently. But hopefully things can turn around at some point. But however, she and Chris were able to pick up the rhythm just a little bit in this one. But unfortunately, there was a miscommunication from May to Chi to Chris. And just like that, it went into, of course, a diving body press by Rina onto Chi. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we have Munetatsu Nakamura versus Balian Aki. Nothing too special about this match, but of course, Balian Aki, as you know, he is very talented at what he does. He's a bit of aggressive. He never stands down. But he was able to pick up the win when he applied a gut wrench power bomb, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, this is one of 2 championship matches that took place. This one, the semi-main event. We have the Asian Dream tag team belts on the line. The current tag champions, Bellflowers, consistent of Sayaka and Makoto, defend their belts against Soy and Miyatsuba. Now, as you probably know, in recent times, we've been seeing Soy and Miyatsuba teaming up more often, and they have picked up great wins in the ChocoPro brand, and just like that, they've been doing well. However, now they're in a tough challenge where they can either win or lose this match. However, I wasn't too sure. We know that Soy, she is tough as nails. She doesn't back down from a fight. Mia, as you know, who is determined to rise as one of the rising stars she is meant to be, was unsuccessful when, of course, Makoto put her in a chokehold, and just like that, she tapped out and it was over. Now, our next match, which is our main event, is the Super Agent Championship. Mei Sera, who is our current high-speed champion in Stardom, takes on Mei Shruga, who is, many people could say, now the current ace of ChocoPro. Well, basically, you probably can guess. This is going to be a very interesting high-speed match in its best. Now, if you guys remember, Mei Shruga had that amazing match with Azumi, and I wouldn't be surprised that she's facing someone who is close to Azumi, and that is Mei Sera. And of course, it's kind of confusing because people are rooting for Mei because there's 2 of them here in this match. But in the end, it was Mei Shruga that picked up the win when she applied a jackknife. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, she retained the championship. So, everything worked out well for Mei Shruga just like that. So we'll see how things will go down her reign, and we'll stay close attention. But as of right now, let's keep on moving forward. More ChocoPro. Okay, ChocoPro number 453. Now, this took place on the 30th of May. Now, this is an interesting thing. I failed to allude at the start of this episode that this was a special event in ChocoPro. Back in Ichigai Square, in case you guys are wondering. The reason why it's so special, well, ChocoPro are celebrating the anniversary of the Best Bros, Mei Suga and Balinaki. Now, for those who don't know, I'm a big fan of them. They are an amazing tag team, despite the fact that Balinaki sometimes can't stand Mei Suga's shenanigan ways. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, there was times when Mei Suga takes it a little bit too far, and Balinaki tried to tell her, hey, Mei, stop. Even when he's not tagging with her, he tries to tell her. There was that one moment where where she was facing Sayuri. She was trying to grab a piece of paper and try to whack her in the back with it. But she's like, "You are my best bro, right? Then shut up." And everybody's like, can't believe that she said that towards him. But even at the end of the day, they're still tag team partners. They're still best bros. That's one of the best things I like about the best bros. However, now they're put in a challenge where they're facing 5 teams. It basically is a gauntlet match in some capacity. Now, the first team was in fact what's their name, Kaho Hiromi and Sayaka. Now, obvious thing about this match, you would think, okay, the weakest link in this in the first tag team they faced was Kaho. She is, of course, smaller, inexperienced, looked like the perfect target, but it was, of course, the best bros that were able to pin her, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, their next team they had to face is a team they have faced countless times. The Egg Tarts, Chiko Chikawa and Hagane Shino. Now, of course, it's no secret if you guys follow ChocoPro's for who knows how long, for many years, since back in the COVID era time. Those two teams have always fought each other for the tag teams, but unsuccessful. The Egg Tarts were there. Now they're trying to prove they can beat them. But unfortunately, this match didn't go exactly like they would have hoped for, because it ended in a time limit draw. I'm sure Cheese like saying, we'll be back and we'll beat them once and for all. Now, their next team they have to face is, of course, the team that recently challenged for the Age Dream Tag Team belts, but unsuccessful. We're talking about Soy and Miya Tsuba. Now, of course, Mei Suruga would know every trick that Miya Tsuba would do to her, due to the fact that it was Mei who trained her, who actually was her mentor, her senpai. So it would make more perfect sense that would have been player. But however, of course, Mia and Soy were almost close in defeating, of course, the Best Bros, because Mia tried to apply a Texas Cloverleaf on Balinaki, but unfortunately, the match ended in a time limit draw, and just like that, it was over. Now, the next team that the Best Bros had to go through is Hiyoyi Iwata and Shin Suzuki, and of course, nothing too special. But however, of course, weakest link in the entire match itself is, of course, Hiyoyi Iwata, because she is least experienced as well in this match. So that kind of plays out too in every way possible. But it was, of course, the Best Bros with the Dolphin Press onto Hiroyi, and just like that, pinned by Mei. 1, 2, 3. Another survival gauntlet. Now, the next team, well, they also faced them before on a few occasions. Minoru Suzuki and, of course, Sayaka Obihiro, aka Obi. Of course, if you guys don't know, these two teams actually had dealt with each other before on various occasions when they were actually the Asian Dream Tag Team Champions. But of course, Obi and Fujita were unsuccessful. But what surprisingly is, of course, is how this match ended. No one expected it. It happened. Obi pinned Mei Suruga. Now, I know what you guys would be thinking. J-Rod, does this mean that she can call her shot for the Super Asian Championship? The answer to that, hell yes. And she claimed it, folks. She called it out right after the match, during the post-match, just like that. So basically, we will see those two face off, and I'm going to be certain it's going to happen in the next big show, or possibly in Ichigai Square. I don't know, but I'll let you guys know if something like that happened. But I'm sure that this is something I'm sure Obi has been looking forward to it. I don't think she's ever won this championship, not even once. I mean, since she was a regular in, of course, in ChocoPro. So we'll see. Now for our Jonkin tournament, well, nothing too special, but I can tell you how this tournament ended. Remember, I mentioned about Soy and Miyatsuba as tag partners. Well, surprise, surprise, those two ended up being in the finals of the Jonkin tournament. And you probably can get wondering who won. Well, I wasn't too sure. A part of me would thought it'd be Mia, but nope. It was Soy who picked up the win. And just like that, she picked up the piece of chocolate. So it was a real fun event. I mean, I'm still a bit more surprised that Obi gets her shot now, and it's going to be interesting. And I'm sure this is going to be the biggest challenge for Mei Suga's life. But we'll see what happens. But as of right now, we are done with ChocoPro number 453. Let's move on with the next one, which is our last ChocoPro event to review. Okay, ChocoPro 454. This took place recently on the 8th of June, back in Ichigai Square. As always, we had that unknown female who opened up the show, giving the greetings and the lowdown of the entire event. So let's begin with our first match. We have Soy and Miyatsuba once again teaming up. This time they take on Hiro Yawada and Chiko Shikawa. Now, of course, many of you would say there's the tag team cohesion on this match would definitely go to Soy and, of course, Mia for obvious reasons, since we've been seeing those two teaming up more often than we have seen in ChocoPro. And of course, Hiroyi and Chi, well, we can say they either teamed up less frequent or during times like 6-person tag match, however you want to play it. But of course, I had a feeling this one was going to go with Soy and Mia until, of course, Soy applied a single leg crab hold on Hiroyi, and just like that, Hiroyi had no choice but to tap. Now, our next match, we have singles action. We have Kaho Hiromi taking on Balinaki. Now, of course, Balinaki, well, he can be aggressive at times. But when it comes to, of course, dealing with Kaho, he probably knows how to deal with her because she is similar to Mei Suga. I mean, she's like, let's say she is Mei Suga's little sister, but more cuter, more fun, and more, energetic, unlike Mei, who, people call her the Apple Goblin or whatever they call her, doing all these things. But of course, you probably can guess that this match was definitely going to go fall into Balinaki, since, of course, Kaho is obviously small. 2, she is least experienced. And of course, Balinaki picked up the win when she did like a little, got her dizzy when she rolled her up like a, kind of like those things they do in tires when you're trying to roll the tires out, that kind of thing. And of course, she got dizzy, and of course, it was over. And then Balinaki had to carry her out, knowing that she's too small, that she knows she's easier to carry. Now, our next match is a very interesting one. We have Sayaka Obihiro, or as we know her, Obi. She teams up with Sawadi Kamen to take on Hagane Shino and Mei Suga, which is unusual. Sorry, my fan here is acting up. Yeah, so anyway, you probably know the reason I say this is this. We know that Mei has dealt with Hagane a few times when it comes to tag teams, but I wasn't too sure exactly how this was going to go. But man, the big surprise is, of course, we know that last time Mei Suga had to, of course, she was unexpectedly pinned by Obi in the last review we did. But what did we expect? Well, I'm sure Mei will probably will give her the title opportunity, but The obvious question we ask ourselves, can Obi here on this one, how do I say this, can pull it off again? Well, it backfired because, of course, Mei Suruga learned from her mistakes, and this time she countered Obi and she pinned her 1, 2, 3, over. Now, our next, then we have the Jonkin tournament. The winner of this one is Hage Nishino. After he defeated his tag partner in the finals was, of course, Mei Suruga. And just like that, he picked up the win. So that's pretty much it what we have for our ChocoPro event. Now, if I do know anything about, of course, Mei and Obi having their title match, I'll let you guys know as soon as possible. But right now, let's move on with our last review, NXT. NXT. So let's begin now. In the start of the entire event, we did see Jasper Troy attack Obafemi in the parking lot. Now, they are part of the main event. Obafemi defends his NXT championship against them. But here's the thing. We ask ourselves, has Obafemi met his match? We know he has dealt with tougher opponents that he believes are worthy challengers. So we'll see about that. Now, our first opening match is the NXT North American title. Ethan Page defended against Sean Legacy. Now, remember, Sean Legacy was given this opportunity right after, of course, Ethan Page survived Worlds Collide in a fatal four-way match. But, of course, he has to deal with Legacy. But there was a moment, of course, where Ethan was able to evade the 450 splash, then applied the Twisted Grin, which is the cutter, onto Sean Legacy, and just like that, it was over. However, during the post-match, out of nowhere, Ricky Saints showed up to get even with him for what happened last time. So I'm sure Ethan Page thought that he got rid of him once and for all, but we'll see what happens until then. Now, Jacy Jayne, as you know, I mentioned last time, she was a bit nervous after what happened with the arrival of the Glamorous, and we'll get to her in a bit, saying that she should have informed her about that. But of course, she's trying to lay the ground, saying, you know, I'm in charge and all that, I decide. However, Lady Luck showed up, and I have to say she had more balls than anybody person, because she bitch slapped Jacy Jayne, and luckily she gets a title match. So basically, I have to say it was a bold move, because obviously what, of course, Vic Joseph mentioned, and I think we all could agree, Lady Luck is an unknown wrestler. We don't know what's her capability, but we'll get to that. Now, Lash Legend was in face-to-face confrontation with Ren Sinclair about, of course, what they're planning to do up in their goals in NXT. And of course, Lash Legend is trying to prevent Ren Sinclair believing she doesn't believe she earns the right to become a champion. Now, Izzy Dame, as you know, as a member of the Calling, gave her explanations why she did what she did to Brooks Jensen. The obvious question was this. She felt that Jensen dropped the ball at Battleground after losing to, of course, Hank and Tank and Josh Briggs. So, basically, that's what it was. And, of course, Nico Vance and Sean Spears kind of, okay, I like what you're saying. So, that's pretty much it. So, apparently she had something in mind, and she hasn't revealed what it was. But however, the Calling had it set up in a match against Yoshiki Inamura and Josh Briggs. So of course, last time these guys had to deal with, Briggs had to deal with these guys. Inamura, you probably can guess that he would definitely want to have a piece of them. But however, Izzy Dame gets involved as always in this match, and of course, Vance was able to pick up the win on Briggs, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, Ava was chatting with Ricky Saints. As you know, he is still injured. He has that thing on his throat. So he told him that, he needs to take a break and just relax and all this, But we'll see how things will roll. I mean, the obvious question is, will Ricky Saints obey Ava's orders? Well, we'll just have to wait. Chase U, as you know, is still, in limbo. Basically, Mariah Connors and Kale Dixon have to follow the instructions of Professor Chase, so we'll see how that goes from there. Now, as you probably know, we did mention the Glamour, Mariah May, who we knew back in before. Well, apparently they just given her a new name. I don't know how you guys think about it, They named her Blake Monroe, and she started doing like a bit more like some type of segments similar to what we've seen with Toni Storm, but we'll see how things roll up. Now, our next match, we have Lash Legend versus Ren Sinclair. I mean, Ren, as you know, she has adapted to whatever situation she did, learning from the Quarter Catch crew, but unfortunately, she did not escape Lash Legend, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, Jasper Shepard, of course, had an interview with Sarah talking about Obafemi. You know, he believes that he'll be fine. I'm not sure if Jasper Shepard thinks that this will slow him down. Well, we'll see when we get there. Now, our next match is for the NXT Women's Championship. Jacy Jayne defends her belt against Lady Luck. However, of course, the obvious question we ask, Lady Luck is an unknown wrestler. Not much has been seen her in, of course, NXT. For those who do know, or not, she was part of NXT Level Up. I have seen her in there. So basically, that's one of the things that could happen. But however, of course, because Jacy Jayne was involved in this match, of course, the Fatal Influence was going to get involved as well, costing the match. But it did give, of course, the rolling encore by Jacy Jayne to Lady Luck, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 was over. But however, during the post-match, Ava decided to do something interesting. She decided the next week there'll be a series of 4 singles matches that will lead into a fatal 4-way match, but whoever wins that match will face Jacy Jayne for the NXT Women's Championship at Evolution. So that's pretty much what's happening. Now, in the backstage, we see Inamura, of course, Josh Briggs, annoyed about how things did not go according to plan. I mean, Izzy Dane got involved. But, of course, First Class decided to rub it in their faces. And not to mention, now they claim that they're making their play for the NXT Championships. But, however, Elijah, as you probably can guess, had some unfinished business with First Class because he cost the TNA World title to go back to TNA. And of course, it was later confirmed that Elijah will team up with Briggs and Inamura to take on First Class and Trick Williams. Now, Luca Cristofino was on the phone. We don't know what's going on, but it seems something is happening. I think Tony D'Angelo is starting to feel like he cannot trust anybody, but yes. Now, Charlie Dempsey, of course, as you know, lost his match against Miles Bourne. And, of course, he honored the deal with Bourne, and he's out of no Quarter Catch crew. It seems like Tavon Evans is willing to follow, so we'll see how that rolls up too. Now, the match between Luca Cristofino and Tony D'Angelo taking on Tyson Dupont, E-Rig. Well, you probably can guess Wesley was definitely going to get involved in this one. But however, the question we ask is Tony D'Angelo suspects about Luca? We don't know. We know Stax showed up. Then we did see a moment where Luca had the crowbar. But of course, we did see, of course, High Rise was able to pick up the win with the Heartstopper, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 was over. Now, we did see an interview, of course, with Trick Williams talking about Inamura, Briggs, and Elijah, but of course, his team up with First Class next week, so we'll see how that rolls. Now, our next match, we have the NXT Championship, Jasper Troy teaming up with Obafemi. Now, of course, we ask ourselves, Obafemi, is he 100%? We know he took a brutal beating by Jasper Shepard, but I'm sure Obafemi knows he's in a tough spot. No one has ever did what they did, like Jasper Shepard did. But somehow, of course, Obafemi was able to survive when he applied the pop-up power bomb, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he retained his championship. So we'll see who will be the next lucky person to challenge him. But as of right now, we are officially done with NXT. Let's move on with, of course, some news updates. So welcome to our news updates. So let's begin as always with upcoming events. Let's begin with GCW updates. So we have, of course, the Little Rock, Arkansas event, bagging in Little Rock. They'll take place on the 20th of June. Shotzi Blackheart will be in action to take on, of course, the Silver Tooth Satan act against Coker. Then we have 2 days later in Kansas City, Missouri, take a picture. We have Matt Tremont taking on Too Tough Tony. This will be a GCW versus JCW. And then finally, the bosses of all bosses on the 11th of July in Dallas, Texas. Matt Cardona will take on Shotzi Blackheart. That's going to be one heck of a match. Now, we move on, of course, with Wrestling Revolver as we get closer now to the upcoming Cage of Horrors. Apparently, they just announced the Golden Ticket Scramble. Now, this match, they get a golden ticket. They get to choose whatever championship at their time, at their any place. So, they announced Joe Alonso versus Tie or Die versus BDE versus Big Pound versus what's his name, June Underwood, and of course Jeffrey Johns. So that's pretty much it for that. Then we have, of course, MLW with Summer of the Beast on the 26th of June. We have the current MLW World Tag Team Champions, Los Pretendedores. Magnus and Hirokido will be participating. Then we have Spark Joshi Puroresu of America with Ignite Texas on the 29th of June. They announced Calientita will be participating. Then we have, of course, more on the upcoming House of Glory Texas that will take place on the 11th of July. 3 names have been mentioned. We have the new and newly crowned House of Glory World Heavyweight Champion, Charles Mason, Indy Hartwell, our current women's champion, and of course, our crown jewel champion, Zilla Fatu. And then finally, the collaboration between Prestige, West Coast Pro, and Deadlock Pro Wrestling, Summer Cruel on the 26th of July. They announced a rematch for the West Coast Pro Tag Team titles. The Cowboy Ways, Thomas Shire and One Called Manners will defend their belts against the people the tag team that they defeated for. We're talking about Crush Boys, Titus Alexander and Starboard Charlie. Now, on to developments. Fightful Selects reports now that Danhausen's contract with AEW expires in July, so we haven't seen him for quite some time. So we'll probably see him in the, of course, independents. And now I know some people would say he probably would end up with WWE, but the obvious question is, will they allow it? That's the thing. They have a strict ways of how they want to do things, but we'll see. MLW has announced that, of course, Salina De La Renta is named the VP of Wrestler Relations, so she has a title, I think, behind the scenes in MLW. We know she's been with the promotion that long. Unfortunately, in the Tokyo Pro Wrestling world, this is our final development here. Haruna Neko has been now put on injury once again on her knee. She suffered an anterior acculate ligament, ACL, rupture, of course. Apparently, she'll be missing out a couple of her matches. Now, amongst these matches, she was supposed to be in a match against Pam Harajuku as part of the opening round of the Tokyo Princess Cup. Well, apparently, it's been decided that Pam Harajuku, her opponent, will be winning by forfeit. So she'll probably get the bye before the E tournament even begins. So we'll see how things will progress from there. But as of right now, we are officially done with, of course, with everything. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. We have AEW Dynamite, as you probably can guess. We are now on the road to All In. So the obvious question we'll ask ourselves, will Jon Moxley will pull all the stops to prevent, of course, Hangman Page from getting to All In? We'll just wait and see, and we know we got plenty other things that will be taking place. Then, of course, we have WWE Evolve, so we'll see how things will roll up there, because as you probably know, we have the first ever Evolve champion, Jackson Drake. So the obvious question we ask ourselves, who will be the lucky competitor to take the first crack at the newly crowned champion? Much what we're seeing also with the women's. So we'll wait and see what happens from there. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye and have a nice day.